I think this might be the most requested VFX ever from my audience. I have been postponing it for way too long, but today is the day. Let's see how to create these blood effects in Godot. Blood represents life, death, vitality, and sometimes sacrifice. It's one of the most important effects in horror games, brutal combat scenes, and deep narrative moments. In this tutorial, I will show you step by step how to create a great looking blood effect entirely from scratch. And the best part is, these techniques aren't just for blood. You can use them to create poison, acid, paint-like games such as Splatoon, or even alien slime like Venom, one of my favorite characters. In this video, I'll walk you through everything you need, and if you want to go further, I have also created a premium blood VFX pack for Godot with over 50 different effects, including stains, acid splashes, and more. Perfect for horror games or anything brutal, intense, and wait, did I just say blood, brutal, and violence? That is not good. The YouTube algorithm is watching. Okay, forget what I said. Bad idea. No blood here. Today we are making ketchup VFX, or maybe tomato sauce effects. Yes, a nice juicy sauce for your cooking game. Let's get started before the algorithm gets suspicious. This tutorial is split into 3 main parts. First, we will create a custom special texture, and I will use Krita for that. It is free and I love it, but you can also use Photoshop or any other painting program if you want. Then we will export that texture and combine it with the Godot's particle system to bring the blood to life. I mean the ketchup. Finally, we will cover how to generate stain marks that can adapt to any surface, and in that section I will also share a few tricks to make those stains leave a trace that syncs with the particle system. So let's start creating the special texture. Okay, so here we are in Krita, but before going ahead and start creating our texture, I want to show you something very important. So here I have a very simple black and white image texture. Let me drag this into Krita just for a moment. As you can see, I have a black and white image. And look at this. If I press Ctrl L, I can open this little window that I can use to modify the contrast of the image, as you can see. And look at this. If I increase the contrast, and now I go ahead and reduce the blacks of the image, you can see like how I can make this texture disappear like if it was an animation. And as you can see, the darkest part of the textures disappear first, and then the brightest parts disappear at the end. Let's see one more time. Let's take a look at this part of the image. I will press Ctrl L once again to modify the contrast. And let's increase this value and reduce the blacks once again. And look what happened. Look at this. See? So this is very interesting. We can use this trick to make animations, to make like an animated image. And maybe if we can mimic this contrast trick into the game engine, we could make animated textures this way. This is like the secret sauce to create great looking liquid animation effects, and also all kinds of other effects like lightning effects or sparks. So with all that wealth of knowledge under our belts, we are ready to create our own special liquid texture. Cool. So I will create a new image with a resolution of 512 by 512. And also I want to have a black background color. Nice. Okay. Um, I want to select my lasso tool over here. You can also press L, and I will try to use my mouse to drag some ugly, wobbly, random circle shape. Something super random, something like this, I guess. Um, you can also hold Shift and use the lasso tool to add some more shapes if you want. Or you can also hold Alt to remove some shapes using the lasso tool. Yes, I think something like this, it's okay. Maybe we can add some little spots, random spots outside over here. So now I want to select my bucket fill tool with a white color to fill all these shapes. Cool. Now let's remove the selection. So I will press Ctrl Shift A, and there you go. This is the basic shape of the texture. But maybe this is too hard. So let's go to Filter and let's add some Gaussian blur like this. Okay, now it's time to make this ugly shape to look like a liquid. So let's grab the basic brush or press B, and I want to select the airbrush. Whoa, okay, maybe this is too big. You can adjust the size over here, or you can also hold Shift while dragging the mouse click so you can control the size of the airbrush. And also, I want to pick a black color, a full black color. And whoa, okay, maybe I want to change this brush a little bit. So I will press F5, and I want to increase the spacing of this brush, something like 0.5. It's okay. Also, I wanted to have some size, some random size. So I want this to be very random and to be controlled over the speed. We can also save this brush if we want. If you click here and save this brush, we can name it like bloody brush. And we can also assign an image here as well, a custom image. In this case, I think I will use some of these default icons of Krita. Maybe this one. Cool. Let's save this brush, just in case we need to use it again, or to create more liquid textures as well. So the trick is to hold click, drag the mouse to have some crazy shapes following the path, the contour of the base, like so, and repeat this once again. Hold click, hold click, hold click, and try to do some random shapes following this path. If you have a tablet, that's great. But if you have a mouse, no problem. I mean, the more random it looks and ugly, the better will be the result. So don't worry about it. I also want to add some wobbly lines radiating outward from the center of the texture. This helps simulate the look of stretched membranes or organic filaments, which add a more visceral, layered feel to this effect. Now it's time to remove all the overly bright areas. We definitely don't want any fully white spots in this texture. And that's it. I think it's done. Maybe we will add a final polish with a special filter to really bring it together. Let's do that. Let's go to filters and let's go to the special GMICQT filters. And I want to look for the morphological filter. And let's do some changes here. I want this to be octagonal, process transparency as well. Click OK. Okay, I think now it's ready to go. Let's see how it looks. Control L, and let's animate this. Whoa, okay, this is perfect. I love this. Great. Finally, let's go ahead and let's merge all these layers into one. Let me unlock this background, select both and press Ctrl E to have one single layer. And I will name this texture mask. And we also need another texture to simulate the depth of this block. And we will use a normal texture for that. So let me actually go ahead and duplicate this layer. And this copy, I will name it normal texture. Cool thing about Krita is that we can create a normal texture using just a black and white image. And it's very easy to do. You only need to go to filters and let's go to edge detection and select height to normal map. And boom, as easy as that, we get this normal texture. Maybe we can modify this a bit. Let me see. Uh, let's put this option and increase this. If you want it to be more 3D-ish, you can increase this a lot, but I don't want to do that too much. Otherwise, it looks too thick. All right, so with this, we have the normal texture, which gives us that sense of 3D depth, and the dissolving mask, which creates the illusion of liquid disappearing. Okay, let's export this. But before that, we need to make sure that the texture mask has transparency. So let's go to Filter, Adjust, and I want to select Cross-Channel Adjustment Curves. So let me change the channel to be alpha and move this little dot over here and click OK. It still looks quite weird because we still have some black color in the corners. We definitely don't want to have that. So let's fix this. Press Ctrl L to adjust the contrast. And this time I want to move this lower bar here, inverting these two dots. So this way the outer edges of the texture appears brighter, while the thicker areas with dense liquid will look darker. But maybe it is still too dark, so let me move this dot a little bit. So let's export these textures. Let's export and let's name this texture blood. Oh, I mean ketchup base mask. And also let's export the normal texture. Okay, now we've got a nice looking texture, and that's honestly the most crucial part. If your texture is solid, it will directly reflect in how good the blood effect looks. It's kind of like making a sauce. If you start with fresh tomatoes, the result is going to taste great. In this case, the texture is your tomato, so make it juicy. Anyways, let's make the sauce. Okay, so let's go to Godot, and also let's go ahead and import our new textures into this project. And we will use these textures in a moment, but for now I want to go ahead and create a GPU particle system. And in order for these particles to work, we need to create a particle process material, and we need to assign a mesh. I will grab a quad mesh. So with this, we have a lot of quad meshes falling down, and this is because of the gravity. So let's change some stuff here in the particle process material. For example, maybe we can give it some randomness of 0.5. I also want these particles to spawn into random positions. So let's go to the position, and I want them to spawn into a random sphere position with a radius of 0.3. Also, let's give it some velocity. I will give it a random velocity between minus 0.5 and 3. And I want this to go into the y-axis, not in the x-axis, with a speed of 10. Okay, let's also give it some more velocity, but this time I will add a radial velocity between 0 and 0.4. And why not? Let's also add some variation in the size of these particles. So let's go to display scale 0.5 and 1.2. And maybe we can also add a curve to control the size. So I want these particles to be very small at the beginning, and then I want them to go big very fast, like so. Okay, maybe we need more particles. So let's go up, and I will increase the amount to 30 particles. And also I will increase the FPS to 60 FPS. But now the problem is this looks too flat because it's just a bunch of planes. So if you turn the camera, you can see it is flat. So this can be a problem. Good thing is that Godot has a nice option to fix this inside the material options. So let's actually go ahead and create a material. And here at the bottom of the material, here is the special billboard option. If we set this to particles and enable this option, now with this, the planes are always facing at the camera direction. Now it's time to make these ugly planes to look like block. So let's also go to the albedo color, and here we can assign a texture. And I will add my new mask texture. And it looks weird because transparency is disabled. So let's go to transparency, and I will set this to alpha scissor. And with this special mode, we get a nice full transparent or full opaque mesh. And we also can control the intensity of this with this slider, which is perfect to get this blood contrast effect animation that we just made in Krita. Uh, so we will go into this in a moment. For now, I will set a value, a maximum value of maybe 0.15. And I want to control this alpha value over the particle's lifetime. So in order to do that, we need to go to the vertex color and enable these two options here. And with this, now we can go back to our particle process material, and let's go to display in color curves, and let's create a curve to control the alpha transparency of the particles. And as you can see, if the value is 0, we don't see anything. It is full transparent. But if the value is 1, we can see the blood texture. So let's actually make this full transparent at the beginning, and then I want them to go full opaque very fast, and finally they will go back to be full transparent at the end. Maybe we can also adjust this to see if we can get a better transition here. And it's looking very nice. We can also add a color over here, and I prefer to add a color ramp. Let's create a color gradient. So with this, we can have a color that changes over the lifetime of the particles. So let's change some stuff here. Let's make this look more smoother. So let's set this to linear. And I want these particles to start with a very darkish red color. And then I want them to go into a more brighter red color. It's quite hard to see the particles, so let me add light. I will add spotlight. Okay, so with this, it's easier to adjust the color now. Let's make it a bit more darkish, more reddish, darkish. Yes, I like this. But as you can see, it looks too flat. So let's actually go back to the material, and it's time to use our other texture, this normal texture. So we need to enable this normal map and assign our texture here. And now it looks more thick. It looks 3D. But maybe it's too thick. So let me
reduce the scale to maybe 0.5. Yeah, I like this. Let's also adjust the roughness of this. I want this blood to be very shiny. So let's reduce the roughness quite a lot to a value like 0.15. Let's also add some more variations to this. I will go back to my particle process material, and maybe we can add some rotation to this blood. So I will enable rotate Y, and I will give it a random angle between minus 180 and 180. And there you go. Here we have a nice looking dynamic blood effect. And in case you want this to be a single blood burst explosion, you can also go to the time option here, and we can set an explosiveness to a higher value, maybe a value of 0.8. Maybe now it's too much particles, so let's reduce the amount to 20.
Cool, so the blood effect itself is done, but it is not complete until we add some blood stains. So let's see how we can do this. There are multiple ways to create a nice looking blood stains marks on the ground, and everything depends on the type of game that you want to do. I will show you 3 ways to do this. I will start from the simplest and most basic way to do it, and I will scale to a more advanced way in case you want these blood stains to move and to be expansive and everything. So let's start with the most simple and basic way to do this, which is by using a Decal. So if we go and create a Decal node, let me add any texture here. For now, I will use this Godot icon, just for now. And good thing about decals is that they can adapt to any kind of surface. So for example, here I have these some random 3D objects. Let's say this is terrain imperfections on the floor. And look at this, the decal will adapt to this surface, which is amazing. We can use this to create blood stains here. And let's see, let's actually try this using our blood texture here instead. Let me add this, and also let's add the normal 3D looking map. And maybe we can change the color to a reddish color. And okay, I don't like this. Maybe we need to use another texture. Give me a moment. Maybe I have another texture over here that we can use. Let me check. Cool, so here I have these nice looking blood stains textures that I have created some time ago. And I will leave the links in the description in case you want to use them as well. Feel free to use it in your video games and modify if you want. Let's import this into the project and put this into the decal like so. Okay, this is looking quite better, but here we have some problems. As you can see, the decal is also affecting the blood effect, and we don't want that. And so yeah, let's fix this. One way to fix it is by going here and disable one layer to don't be affected by the decal. In this case, I want to disable the layer number 3, so everything that is in the layer 3 won't be affected by this decal. And also, let's make sure that the blood effect is in the layer 3, so it is not affected. Right? There is one more thing I would like to adjust here. I think this looks too rugged. It needs to be more shiny, more gloss. Unfortunately, there is no way here in the decal to modify the roughness of the texture. But we have this ORM, Occlusion Roughness Metal, which is supposed to be used with a packet texture that has all that information packed in one texture. And of course, we don't have that, but there is a trick that we can do. Instead, what we can do is to create a gradient texture. But I don't want to use a gradient, only want to use a color. So let me delete this and only have one single color. So, okay, occlusion, roughness, metal. I don't want this to have occlusion. I want this to have very low roughness, maybe a value of 0.12, maybe. And metal, no, this is not metallic, but maybe we can add a little bit of metallic, maybe 0.1. And yes, I love this. I think this is looking nice. We have this weird artifact here. There is no way to solve this at all. I'm sorry about that. Maybe we can reduce the decal size here, so this is quite better. So yeah, but now the trick is to animate this decal so it appears just after this blood effect has started. And maybe we can do that using an animation player. So yeah, let's try that. I will create an animation player, and maybe we can group all these things together just to keep everything organized as well. So let me also create a node 3D, and let's name this VFX blood with stains, blood with stains. And I will put all these together over here just to keep everything organized. Cool. So let's animate this decal sequence with this effect. And in order to do that, I will create a new animation. I will name it whatever init, initialized. And also let's toggle this little icon here. So as soon as I instantiate this effect, this animation will be played automatically. So let's see, I want this blast burst to... First of all, I only want this to be one shot. And I want this to start here at the beginning of the animation to start the effect, like so. And maybe over here, I want the decal to appear. We can enable visibility, but maybe it's better to have a smooth transition using these sliders here. I think this is better. So let's do this. Let's say at this point of the animation, I want this to be full opaque. And also let's modulate this as well, the color. So yeah, just at this moment, but maybe just over here, this will be transparent, and this will, oh, oops, and this will also be transparent as well. So this is the animation. First, we start the blood burst effect, and just before that, the decal blood stains marks appear on the floor. Let's see how it looks. Let's start. Boom. Okay, maybe this is too fast. Let me put this over here, and let's see. Play. Boom. Okay, nice. Maybe we can increase the transition of this disappearing and appearing effect quite longer over here. Okay.
And in case you want to take this further, we can make this decal disappear, because maybe it's not a good idea if you have thousands of blood particles floating around to spawn all these decals. We might end up with 1,000 decals in the scene, and that is not optimal. That is terrible for performance. So one way to do this is to make this decal disappear eventually. Maybe we can set the time into this animation to be 5 seconds or something like so. And maybe we can like duplicate this decal color and also duplicate these options. So basically, the blood burst starts at this point of the animation at the second 0. And then just before that, the decal appears, and then it eventually disappears. And I think quite a few people don't know about this trick, but you can call code directly from the animation player at any point of the animation. So for example, let me go ahead and create a script, and let's only create one function, and I will name it delete myself. And all this is going to do is to just queue-free destroy this blood stains object. Since once it disappears, we don't need it anymore. So it's not occupying extra memory that we will need later on. So yes, here in the animation player, I can just go ahead and call a method. In this case, I will call a method which is here in this object, and that would be the function delete myself. So in the game, when the animation player goes over here, it will destroy itself. Just wanted to quickly share this little trick because I have had quite a few people message me asking, oh, how do I sync this VFX with my code? Well, this is it. This is the way I personally do it most of the times. No need for timers or crazy dynamic buffers. Just a clean, reliable method that keeps things simple and efficient. But what if, let's say, this is not just a blood burst, this is a constant blood flowing effect. So let me disable this one-shot option just for now. And this will be emitting. And I will increase the amount and remove the explosiveness. So now we have a constant blood burst effect. So the problem with this now, with the decal approach, is that it is not dynamic and it's only one single decal. And maybe we can move with this, but this looks ugly, this looks fake. So what is the solution for this? What can we do if we have a constant blood flowing effect? Or maybe we can use decals. Maybe we can create some kind of script that automatically follows the blood trace and instantiate the marks following the trace of the blood. But I don't think that is the most optimal way to do it. So what can we do? Let's see. Let me quit this for a moment. And I will delete this decal. I will use another thing. The other way to do it is by actually using particles, but using just plain particles, just exactly like this, but static plain particles. So let's try doing that. I will duplicate this blood effect. So now you have two blood effects. And I want to do a lot of changes here in this new copy of the effect. So just to make sure that these changes won't affect the copy, I will go ahead and go to the particle process material, right click, and make unique recursive. This will make unique the particle process material and also all the properties as well. And I will do the same for the material, but I only want to make unique just the material itself, not the properties. Just in case I want to modify this copy material later on. Okay, let's do some changes. First, I want to make sure that these planes are not facing in front. I want them to face into the y-axis. So let me delete this and choose this one. And okay, this looks quite weird because if you remember, we enabled an option in the material properties to have the planes always facing the camera. So let's disable this for now. Okay, but I don't want this to have velocity or gravity. So let's go to the particle process material, and I want to make sure that I will disable the velocity and also the gravity as well. Nice, okay. Maybe we can also change the position of the spawning blood particles. So let's go to the position. Instead of instantiating this into a sphere shape, I want this to be instantiated into a ring shape. We cannot see the shape because we need to enable this option here, this gizmos. And now you can see the cylinder, kind of. So I want this ring to be aligned into the y-axis. So let's put this vertical, and to have a ring height of 0.1 with a radius of 0.3. Okay, maybe this is too big, so let's go to scale and let's put a random scale with a value between 0.3 and 1. And also, I want these particles to start very small and then go big. Then they will shrink at the end, like so. Maybe it's too big yet, so let's reduce even more the scale to 0.5. Also, let's set the time to 1.2 and the amount to 60. So with this, we got this dynamic blood stains effect trace on the ground. And yes, super simple, very straightforward to do. And if this already feels perfect for the type of video game you are doing, please keep it simple and you will avoid overcomplicating things in the future. I mean, because things can really get complicated. Let's say, for example, the floor is not a plain floor and we have terrain with rocks and crazy imperfections like this. The problem is that this will not adapt and conform the floor surface as a decal would do. So yes, this can be a problem. I mean, because this is just a bunch of planes looking up, flat planes. So yes, this is probably not the best solution, especially for those video games who has crazy terrain and stuff. So maybe we can create some kind of a special shader that makes these flat planes to adapt and conform any kind of surface. Fortunately, I have already done in the past a shader that works perfect in this case, and I will leave the link in the description. And this is all a code shader that does this kind of fake decal effect and also is compatible with particle systems. Okay, all we need to do is to copy all this shader code. And now let's go back to Godot and let's create a new shader. Maybe I can create a new folder and name it shaders. And I will create a new resource, a shader, and let's name it shader fake decal particles. And I will delete all this and paste my own special shader here. There we go. Now we should be able to use this shader. So let's go back to the blood stains particles. And I will delete this whole material because I want to create a new material, but a shader material. And here I will put my new shader. Okay, it looks quite weird because we need to adjust the parameters here and put all the textures back. So let me place this color texture here, the normal map, and let's also add a roughness value. And this is supposed to be a texture, but I will add just a color that will be the roughness of 0.12. And we need to create a color gradient that will be assigned to this texture. Wait, why is it red already? Oh, right, because I set a color in my particles color. Let's go back to the particle color. And this is the gradient I want to have down there. So I will delete this over here. Maybe I can just leave a simple gradient here, a simple white to gray gradient, so the blood becomes darker over the time, just a little bit. And over here in the material, okay, so this color gradient will control the actual color of the texture itself. And I want this blood to have a variation between dark red and bright red. And let's also enable this Y fading option, so the planes will fade over the height, just exactly as the decals do. Okay, seems like with this shader, the planes looks small. So maybe we can adjust the size one more time. Maybe I can increase the size. And yes, this should adapt to any surface. As you can see, it's some kind of fake decal, so it's not perfect. I try to do my best by making this, but actually maybe we can move this a little bit up. Maybe we can adjust some of these options here, some of these fading options. Let's see. It is not perfect. I don't like it too much. The roughness, as you can see, looks quite weird, but it gets the job done.
And another thing we could do if we want to take this further is to enable collision detection and make these particles actually collide with the surface to detect where to place these blood stains. And the way to do that is by using sub-emitters, which I don't like too much, and I will show you why I don't like it. But let's see. For now, let me name these blood stains, like actually blood stains, and I will go back to my blood burst effect, and here in the sub-emitter I will assign my blood stains particles. And we also need to enable collision in order to instantiate these sub-emitter particles. So I will enable collision rigid, and let me increase a little bit the friction. And here in the sub-emitter, I will set this at collision. So just when it collides, it emits one subparticle, one blood stains. And of course, in order to collide this, we need to add a custom particle collider. And let me add, for example, a GPU particles collision box. And let me enable the gizmos so we can see what is going on here. And we can reduce this a little bit and make it match with the floor. Now we can see something here. Let me push this up quite a bit. And now it's colliding with the floor. And of course we need to add a collider for each of these objects as well. So let me create another collision box, particles collision box, and try to match this collision box with this cube here. And do the same with these spheres. And this is the reason why I prefer to avoid sub-emitters, especially in Godot. Imagine adding one collision for each object that you have in your map. It's not convenient at all. That said, I still want to showcase all the possibilities so you can explore them freely. My goal is to equip you with a range of options. I am just here to show you the different ways to approach this, so you can choose what best fits your creative vision and the specific needs of your game. And just to make sure that we are only instantiating one single Bl0 Stain, I want to make sure this one-shot option is enabled in the Sub-Emitter. And really push the amount to 2000 particles, just to ensure the buffer of the Sub-Emitter has enough particles and Bl0 Stains to instantiate it in the right place. So yes, this is quite advanced, I know. If you can keep it simple without needing of using these collision and Sub-Emitters, please do it, and you will avoid a lot of headaches down the road. But now, as you can see, this is adapting to the surface. And that's essentially it, guys. You now have a juicy, dynamic Bl0 effect ready to go. And remember, best part is all these techniques can be adapted to all kinds of liquids: acid, slime, paint, even tomato sauce. Just like I did in my new VFX Bl0 effects pack, which includes over 50 unique effects, splashes, stains, acid burst, and more. If you are interested, there is the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.